In the Company of Women celebrates not only these bright women leaders, but also our parks.
I was very honored to be asked to join the Parks Foundation Board of Miami-Dade County, and I've had a unique opportunity to see the vast scope of parks that we have in Miami-Dade County and the amazing work that the Parks Department does. So when we go out and have our youth activities, we really appreciate all of the people and all the effort that is behind that. And I think we're very lucky in Miami-Dade County to have access to so many beautiful parks with different locations and different activities, create great opportunities for our children and our families.
The effects of having parks available on human health, I think, are particularly obvious, and during the past year and a half during the pandemic, where our northern neighbors during the winter were locked inside, and so much stress is by staying inside, not being able to interact. We had these beautiful parks available. We were able to be outside all year round. So even if we couldn't come in close contact with other individuals, we had places to bike, to walk, and it really has a major effect on stress levels and being able to be outside, especially during times that we've experienced in the last year. So I think this really brings home. I think sometimes we take it for granted because we're in this beautiful area, and it's where it's nice all time of year, a little hot in the summer, but nice most of the year. But I think that it was really brought home, and people should really want to support the parks, and because it is such a critical part of our lifestyle down here.
I believe that children having access to parks has many dimensions to teaching them about business. Certainly what they learn individually about access to the park itself, about interacting with friends and others in the park, about respecting nature and the environment, about respecting themselves. But I will tell you that my business life started almost in a park. I was a playground director for the Putnam County Parks in Putnam, West Virginia, and I learned a lot about organizing 95 to 15-year-olds every day for 8 weeks during the summer. You get a lot of business training that way.
Parks and open spaces are one of the great unifiers in this country. Parks and open spaces are one of the few places where in America we can simply exist without the expectation of spending money. And I think that safety and that pride and that sense of community that parks create for people is critical to a thriving, robust, engaged neighborhood anywhere in Miami-Dade County, but certainly anywhere in the U.S. as well.
Green spaces and beautiful green spaces in general are seen in communities where there is a sense of pride. If you think about communities that are very concrete, right? There usually is a sense of economic disparity. There is a general sense of not having access to. And I think just having a park and a green space says we think it's important enough to have a place for you to own and that belongs to you, because the park doesn't belong to the park. The park belongs to the community. So in and of itself, it creates ownership. In and of itself, it creates pride. And then you're gathering, and there's beauty in a park. So the landscape in and of itself as well adds to the pride that comes along with having a park and dedicating space to saying that's important.
I find park is very important. As a managing general partner of a venture capital firm, I worked 80 hours a week. So during the weekend, I normally take my daughter to the park so that we can have family bonding, we can build her childhood memories, can teach her about the nature, and I feel grateful to have a place that I can recharge my energy to start, the next week in a better way.
Community parks have always been about community health. They're the root of community health, right? For many communities, parks are the only place where we can safely be outside, play, fresh air, exercise. So we've always known at the Health Foundation, I've always understood the role that parks play in this community. And I look out, right, and I see grandparents walking with children free playing, getting together and out of their homes in a safe environment is really critical to addressing obesity issues, well-being. And I think I have thought about this when so many other things closed, right? When nothing was available to us, when we were home. parks didn't close. So I think, I think to myself, parks have been there for us, and so we need to be there for parks. The other thing for me, because of the work that I've done with children with disabilities, children living in poverty, I see those. We would bring the children to the parks. We would put them on the bus, and for some of them, they hadn't been to parks before. And so watching that experience for them was always completely uplifting. And the people behind the parks, not everybody gets to see that, right? They are our partners. They are the partners of the community-based organizations, of the summer camps, of the neighborhood groups, right? Because it's not only a place, it's a partnership. And so, for me, Miami-Dade Parks is tops.
I grew up in New Mexico, where our parks were national parks. They were acres and acres and acres of places to hike and fish and camp. Here in Miami-Dade County, we're a much more urban environment. But if we're not careful, we can spend all of our time at our jobs or in our homes. And parks is where we come together, right? We're outside, and whenever we're outside, we are with members of our community, we're with our neighbors, we meet people we'd never meet, and we interact differently. We use our bodies, we run, we laugh, we even have birthday parties and picnics and barbecues. We go to the beach. Let's not forget our greatest park is our beaches here in Miami-Dade County. So for me, parks are all about community. It's about being together rather than being separate.
The importance of parks in our community, it's also affects our daily lives. I am a mother of 2 children, boys. They're involved in 5 sports. It can range from basketball, baseball, all the way to track and field. And when I'm not at work, I spend most of my time also in the parks. And the relationships that I see that my children have fostered being in this community, it's incredible, and I know it's going to be a lifetime of friendship that is never going to change. Also, it's the relationships that us as parents have built with others in this community. So this sports programs, I think, bring so many people from all walks of life, from all parts of the county, to be in the same, to build this teamwork, to build sportsmanship in our children's lives. And I believe parks create that. They create those memories, they create those programs that allow us to build these relationships, which is important, not only for our children, but also for us as parents.
The parks play a role in the visual aspect of a person's life more than anything else. I think that when a child goes to a park, he sees new and exciting things that he probably wouldn't see if he's in an apartment or a complex where there's no green, or no water, or no ducks, or no cranes or egrets to see. So the parks offer the visual aspects to a child's life and to an adult's life. Many adults enjoy the park atmosphere. You can drive by any of the parks in Dade County any weekend, and they're packed with people doing all kinds of wonderful things outdoors. The outdoors is essential to our development.
I think media need to make clear how important parks are to the life of a community and to the life of individuals. And we live in a community that is lagging in terms of green space, and especially as we see development taking over spaces that once gave us access to the bay or provided green space for us. And so it's very important for media to make that clear, not just the good that parks do, but the downside of the lack of parks in our communities and in our lives.
Without parks, there's no connection to nature. In the small island of Trinidad where I grew up, every 3 blocks there was a park, some small, some bigger. But it allowed us to sort of appreciate the beauty and value of nature, to be one with that environment. And moving here to Miami and spending the last 30, 40 years here, I see parks as essential to quality of life. It's important that people have a green space just to sit in, for kids to play in. I remember rolling down these tiny little green hills in the parks I played in when I was little. And when I go to the parks now, Jose Marti Park, Margaret Pace Park, all the parks we have here in Miami-Dade County, I see so many people, different walks of life, there. And what they're doing is different. Some people are actively playing and eating and having picnics. Others are just there to decompress. And I believe there's a study coming out of Rutgers University that talks about our blood chemistry improving, our biochemistry improving when we're out in nature and in parks. So when we give kids exposure to parks and to be playing in parks, we're giving them something besides that iPad, that computer game, that's something else, where their imaginations can fly and they can see themselves in different roles. So making a space for play and for interaction in nature gives you a feeling of a connection that you never lose. And as the world gets warmer and we have fewer and fewer people going outside, we need parks more than ever to be heavily canopied and inviting so that people can use them to relax, to regroup, and to re-energize themselves and their souls, because quality of life depends on having parks and access to parks.